How you doing, guys? This is just basically, I want to share my thoughts a bit about the topic of Christians and relationships. I'm a Christian. I've had experience in this area, so speaking from experience and things I've learned from the Bible and things like that. One issue I see as a definite issue amongst Christianity is the idolatry that people can place on relationships. People can exalt having a boyfriend or girlfriend, or finding my soulmate, or the person God has for me, to such a high extent that they can put it above evangelism. They can put it above praying for their loved ones. They can do all sorts of things, right? So let's take a look at what idolatry is. It says in the book of Ezekiel, it's in chapter 6, that God says to Israel, he says, I was crushed by your idolatrous hearts, because you exalted things in your hearts that offended God and that made God have to take a back seat. And obviously, as Christians who love God, we don't want to do that, and we don't always do it intentionally, but that's why I'm making this video, because it'll help people to understand that in the second commandment, concerning idolatry, we must not exalt anything higher than God. So how do Christians do that? Well, one thing I've known from experience is how much prayer people put into finding their partner. Oh, it's so important. If you go through the list of things the Bible says to pray for, that one is not even mentioned. But you'll find so many Christians praying for it, talking about it, seeking it, putting such strength into it. And there's nothing wrong to seek something, that God has for you. But when it's done, when you're doing that more than you're praying for the souls of your family or your loved ones or your cousins or whatever, you know what I mean? Then it becomes wrong. It becomes inordinate affection, I think is one of the terms the Bible uses. And not to say there aren't happily married Christian couples, but finding a Christian who you're happy to marry is not the answer to everything for your life. I know heaps of Christians who are miserable and they're married and they all went through the love trap and the excitement at first. But the thing is, if that's what you need to find fulfillment in this life, okay, then you're missing something, because you're supposed to be, Christ's salvation is supposed to make you complete. One of the things the Bible talks about is contentment. The Bible says, be content with such things as you have. For God himself has said, I will never leave you or forsake you. And Paul says, it's better if a man remains single. And he says, because, and this is biblical justification, he says, I've got wisdom from God. And this is why I say it's better to remain single. He said, the time is short. He said, even those who are married should be living as though they're single, because the world doesn't know. They need to know about Jesus. You need to find God's will for your life. And he said, those who are married, they care about the things of the world, how they may please their husband or wife. But he said, those who are unmarried care about the things of the Lord, how they may please the Lord. And I know God says not getting married, it's fine, it's not a sin, I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying don't seek it more than you seek God. Don't make marriage your first love. Don't make finding the ultimate Christian partner your first love. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon God while he's near, and just put relationships where it deserves to be, which is way down on the rung. If it's God's will, it'll happen. You'll get married. If it's not God's will, it won't happen. It shouldn't bother you either way. Paul learned the secret to contentment, and I pray that we all get to learn that too. Thanks, guys.